August 7th, 2026. Dear Productive Me. Have you ever spent the day taking care of things just to feel like you haven't been productive at all? No matter what you have accomplished, it still doesn't feel like it's enough? Today, that's exactly how I felt. I did wake up later than I normally do. Um, I did take the anxiety med last night and it knocked me out, so I was extremely tired. But then when I got up and got going, I feel like I was knocking things off my list. I sat down and filled out some paperwork. I ran it up to the school. I had some lunch. I came back and sat down to make a list of things I want to accomplish. I want to work on a budget and a schedule and a meal plan. And I got quite a few of those things done and still felt like I've done nothing today. I'm not sure what I measure that up to. What is the magic number of things I have to take care of to consider myself to be productive? I actually had a productive day today. I got things done. And yet still I feel like, it's only 8:25. I could do more. And yes, I can do more. And yes, I probably will do more. But what is that incessant need to keep adding things onto my plate versus saying, hey, you can take a break. You did good today. It's not out of necessity, and I'm not feeling nervous or anxious today. I'm feeling really good. My emotional health is pretty happy today, actually. Um, and maybe this is part of like that mania phase where because I'm in a good mood, I want to get all the things done at one time before that goes away, before something kicks in and says that I can't do those things. So today I sat down and I ran numbers, and I love math with my whole heart. Always have. I still have my math notes from high school. That's how much I love math. And, OCD. But I was sitting down to do my budget today, and I was looking at the money we bring in versus the money that goes out. And I was just curious where my money goes. So I sat down and I'm doing my list and I'm figuring it out. And I realized that I spend money on things that obviously I don't need to spend money on. And so I'm trying to figure out, like, well, what if I take this off? And what if I take this off? And what if I take this off? And then, because I got into such a groove with that, I just started removing all kinds of things. Because if you're going to do it, you're going to do it. That's how my brain works. So I cut streaming services here, and I changed plans here, and before I knew it, I had this, like, healthy buffer in my budget. And I don't know why I haven't sat there and done that before. I always talk about doing it and sitting down and doing it. I've mentioned it to my husband multiple times. Something has convinced me that unless I have him sit down and do it with me, then I can't do it, knowing that he has no interest in that kind of thing. And so I sat down today by myself and just completed it. And I think that's my new outlook with things recently, is that instead of waiting for somebody else to give me the approval to do it, I just do it. So instead of becoming bitter because someone didn't get up and help me clean when I didn't want their help, I just process I didn't really want their help. And instead of being like, oh my gosh, my husband doesn't know what the bills are and he won't sit down with me, that's never been his area of expertise. In the 10 years we've been married and the 12 years we've been together, that man has not sat down and paid a bill. That is my area of expertise. So it baffles me then why I decided that he has to sit down and discuss it with me, knowing that this man does not care. And that's not to say he doesn't care about our finances. He does indeed care about our finances. It's just the minute details mean nothing to him. That's just not how his brain works. Where my brain says every morning I wake up and I check my bank account, just because I like to know what I'm working with for the day, even though I know what comes out and what's coming in. So I did that, and it felt good to do it. And then it was the going over my grocery budget. My grocery budget is insane for a family of 3 and 2 dogs. I spend way more money than I probably should. And a lot of it is my hair's wild today. A lot of it is fresh fruit and fresh veggies because I like fresh fruit and fresh veggies, and my dogs like fresh fruit and veggies. Not so much my two humans. And so we eat fairly well. And I'm sitting there and I'm going through my grocery list and I'm going back through all the purchases I've made over the month and realizing that I've spent upward of like $1,500 on groceries. And I know we're not eating it all. We're not. We're not consuming that much food. So then it was okay, let's go see what we have in the freezer. And so I have this handy dandy app that lets me scan the stuff in my pantry, my freezer, and fridge, and it'll tell me what I have. And as I was doing that, I have bags upon bags upon bags of chicken, and pounds of ground beef, and pork chops, and pot roast, and hamburgers, and fish. And it's just all sitting in my freezer, and then whenever I go shopping, I buy more because I feel like I'm going to run out of meat. And I don't know what that chemical imbalance is in my brain that says, oh my gosh, if we don't buy this now, we're not going to have any. Knowing I have a whole outside freezer full of food. But today, I sat down and went through that and said, okay, this is what we have. I'm going to come up with a plan to go through what I have. Maybe not spend as much on groceries. And so I am good with coming up with ideas for things to cook with my food, but not so much of what to have for the night, if that makes any sense. So if you tell me, hey, tonight make a dish with chicken, I will go in there and make a dish with chicken. I can do that. If you ask me what I want for dinner tonight, the answer is I don't know. And so I was sitting down and I'm going over things and I'm playing up to my strengths, right? Because, again, it won't do me any good to sit through and say, okay, I've got this book. And it's got some really great recipes in it. And let me go out and pick the several different recipes that I'm going to do. My brain does not operate like that. It says, okay, you have these proteins in your house. What do you want to eat? And so, as I sit here, I would realize that I've been craving tostadas. There's a good chance that tomorrow I am making tostadas for lunch or dinner. Because I know that I have the meat in my fridge, and I have all the other supplies I need to make it. I just needed to know what proteins I have. And I feel like that is the crux of being productive. It's knowing how you work to make it productive. Me, I'm great with, here's this list of things. Oh, I see this on my list, I'm going to check it off. This is next to my list, I see this on my list, I'm going to check it off. And that's what I've done today. I knew this morning that I was going to get up and take care of schooling. I got up and took care of schooling. I knew today I wanted to work on a budget. I took care of a budget. I knew today I wanted to talk about grocery planning and meal prepping, and so I did that. I worked to my strengths, and because I worked to my strengths, I was actually really productive. And it's amazing because I feel like we set these goals for ourselves and they're unrealistic to the things that we can accomplish. And by that I mean, it would be ridiculous of me to say that I can go out there and run a 5K. I am not prepared in any way, shape, or form to run a 5K. Could I do it? Yes. I would not survive it, but I could do it. Versus well, I could plan for that. Well, how would you plan for that? Well, for me, it would probably start off with eating healthy and losing some weight. For me, that's what would work. And then maybe short runs and building up from there. Because I know for my brain, that'll work. I can't tell myself, well, go out there and run a mile, walk a mile, run a mile, walk a mile. That is, my brain's just saying, nope, that sounds like a lot of work. You have to set it at the pace that you're used to. I used to run track, believe it or not. I was a mid-distance runner. If you told me to go out there and run long distance to start, it's not going to be very productive. Being productive is about learning who you are and where you are and how you accomplish that. For my husband, he has to do a task, sit down and reward himself with a break, do a task, sit down and reward himself with a break. That is how he is productive. If he tries to do everything at once, his ADHD brain is going to go all over the place and he won't get anything accomplished. That's not how it works. What works for you? Do what works for you. My best friend today was telling me how She was enrolling her kid into school. She rearranged her room. She got to the store to get some new things. She's done a plethora of things today, and she still feels like she hasn't been productive. A mom of two has ran around all day today, taking care of things, and yet still feels unproductive. It's almost like it's this unimaginable goal to me to be productive versus these are the things I want to accomplish. How much of that can I get checked off? Knowing how my brain works. Well, for me, I got a lot of those things checked off. And I know that when I'm done with this podcast tonight, I'm still going to go do more things. I'm not tired. I'm feeling good. I probably should have had that energy drink like an hour ago. But I'm good to go. I can put more effort into the things that I need to do. But I did what works for me. My productivity isn't going to look like what everybody else's productivity looks like. We live in a world where we expect everybody to fall in and follow suit to somebody else. That doesn't work for everybody. Yes, I get it. A job is a job is a job, and there are standards at a job that you have to perform to. However, even with that being the case, we recognize that everybody learns in a different way. That is one of the things that I found the most beautiful about growing up in my household. I am the oldest of 7 kids, and not one of us learned things the same way. The way that I understood something wasn't the way that my sister understood something. The way my brother understood something. When we got grounded from things, we got grounded from things depending on the person who got grounded. For example, if I were in trouble, I would be grounded from the phone. Because I love to talk. I know, surprising. I enjoy spending time talking to people and my friends. That was always my punishment. My sister wasn't big on talking on the phone. When she got in trouble, she got grounded from going outside. This was the girl who liked to go out and play basketball frequently. So it made sense that her punishment fit what would actually help her. If we recognize that punishments work that way, why don't we operate under the fact that being productive works that way? I am one of those, I reward myself. My reward looks like, hey, I've checked that thing off my list, but it also looks like when I'm done, I get that ice cream. When I'm done, I get that Starbucks drink. Knowing that that's my motivation. If we don't do things per the way that our brain works, how do we ever expect to get things done? Being productive is about learning what works for you and doing it that way. Some of us like to work off lists. Some of us like to just kind of throw things at the wall and see what sticks. I am a person who feels productive based on doing the same routine every day. In the same way. Productivity. And I think that's maybe why I was thrown off today. I didn't get up and take my shower and then clean my kitchen. These are all things I usually do that didn't get done. So for me, my day doesn't feel complete. It doesn't feel productive. I didn't do my routine. I had to break myself out of that cycle. Not the cycle of doing my routine, but the cycle of thinking that I haven't accomplished everything because I didn't do all the things on my list. That doesn't mean that you haven't accomplished anything. If your mental health is one bite of a pie at a time, why would anything else be any different? How do we expect to accomplish all the things all the time? The answer is we can't. We're not bionic, we're human. And in being human, that means taking it one bite at a time. So today, my bite of pie was, I got things done the best that I could. I made a list, because it works for me. I checked it off as I went, because that works for me. And then I'll reward myself. I've got ice cream sitting in the freezer tonight. I've got a mango sorbet, which sounds absolutely delicious, and I have butter pecan. And I'm leaning towards the butter pecan because for me, butter pecan is a hug from my dad. And right now, I could use a hug from my dad. That's the nostalgia moment that I'm in. Because I was productive. I did the things that I needed to do so that I could do the things that I wanted to do. I feel like that's the very definition of being productive. Do the things you need to do to get to where you want to do. We need to give ourselves credit for that. We need to recognize and accept that being productive doesn't look like getting everything done. Being productive looks like growing, moving, making things happen. Not all the things happen, just making things happen. So today that was my bite of pie. And as I talked to my best friend, I realized that was also her bite of pie, even if she can't acknowledge it. As of right now, I'm waiting to call her back because I told her, go shower. Ugh, I don't really want to go shower. But go shower. Let that be your other productive bite of pie. It doesn't have to be grandiose for you to be productive for the day. So don't worry about being perfect. Don't worry about getting everything done on your list. Just do something on your list. That's an accomplishment. That's production. And then just remember, today is another page in the story. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be written. And before you close your journal tonight, ask yourself, what was your bite of pie? Until tomorrow, love you loud.